Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're embarking on a massive zoomed-out journey through the absolute marvel that is modern shipbuilding. We're going to kick things off with a piece of technology that completely redefines how we move massive vessels, and then we're pulling all the way back to recap this entire incredible journey from a totally blank digital canvas to a floating Leviathan. Let's get right into it.
Just picture this in your head, an enormous hydraulic platform, easily the size of a whole football pitch. It's carrying a fully built 10,000-ton ship, and it's just rising silently and effortlessly right out of the water. I mean, it sounds like sci-fi, right? But it's actually the everyday reality of modern shipyard logistics. This one single machine, this absolute beast of engineering, literally replaces entire massive slipway systems.
Okay, let's dive into this. A hydraulic ship lift, which you'll often hear called a synchrolift or a ship elevator in the industry, is essentially just a massive rectangular platform sitting right at water level, and it's supported from below by this incredibly complex network of hydraulic cylinders. Without a doubt, it is the absolute most flexible, highly controllable launch and haul-out system we've ever developed in the maritime world. So how does it actually work? Well, the mechanics are surprisingly elegant, but they require absolute precision. First, the whole platform lowers beneath the water's surface. Then, you just float the vessel directly over it. Finally, you raise the platform back up hydraulically. But here is the critical part. They have to rise synchronously. Every single one of those independent cylinders must raise at the exact same rate, so the ship stays perfectly level. If they don't, well, you apply differential loads, and you run the risk of literally cracking or severely damaging the ship's hull. No pressure, right?
Section 1. Transfer Systems. Moving mountains sideways. Let's see how this builds into an even more mind-blowing capability. Because the shiplift's real superpower, it's unlocked when you pair it with a lateral transfer system. You are literally moving mountains across dry land. Once the ship is lifted up to yard level, the whole logistical game shifts to rails. You slide these wheeled transfer cars, which we call bogies, right under the ship's keel. Then you lower the lift platform just a tiny bit so the immense, staggering weight of that ship transfers safely onto the cars. And from there, you can literally roll the entire ship sideways along a rail network to pretty much any spot in the yard. Whether it needs to tuck into a covered shed for some winter outfitting or head to a dedicated repair berth, a ship lift with a transfer system makes every single square meter of a shipyard accessible to every single ship.
Section 2. Transforming smaller shipyards. Now, what does this actually mean for the business side of shipbuilding? Well, for smaller yards, it's a massive pivot. Think about a traditional slipway yard. It demands this huge, long, narrow waterfront footprint. Slipways are incredibly rigid. They completely constrain what you can build and exactly where you can build it, tying up all that extremely valuable waterfront real estate. But a shiplift yard? It only needs a waterfront footprint as wide as the platform itself. Because you can just roll the ships inland on rails, you unlock multiple transfer positions, maximizing both your flexibility and your overall throughput.
And this brilliantly illustrates how this technology completely reshapes the game. By dramatically improving space utilization, a smaller yard can run repair and new build operations simultaneously on a remarkably compact site. It completely overhauls efficiency for yards that simply don't have the luxury of endless miles of water access. It is, for sure, an absolute game changer for throughput.
Section 3. The ultimate zoom out, the shipbuilding journey.
All right, having explored the magic of the shiplift, it's time to tie this whole thing together into one seamless narrative. Let's do a massive, full-circle recap of the timeline we've been covering in this series, from a completely blank CAD screen to the open sea. We start with the design model, then tackle the massive logistics of steel preparation, fabricate the panels, assemble the massive blocks, erect and test the entire structure, and finally, we launch. Let's rapidly revisit the absolute genius behind every one of these monumental steps.
It all kicks off right here in the digital realm. The ship product model is not just some basic 3D drawing. It's a single, massively integrated 3D database that holds absolutely every piece of information about the ship. Structural steel, pipe runs, electrical trays, material grades, the whole shebang. And because it's totally integrated, it automatically generates the NC cutting programs, block assembly drawings, and material lists. Change just one tiny thing in this model, and every single downstream physical output updates instantly.
From that pristine digital model, we slam right into the physical steel. We covered the intense steel preparation phase where massive flat plates get transformed.
A ship's hull isn't flat, right? So we use these colossal 3-roll hydraulic machines to progressively bend steel into beautiful single or double hydrodynamic curves. Meanwhile, the ship's skeleton, those transverse frames, are cold bent. No heat, just immense force using hydraulic 3-point presses to perfectly match the complex compound curves of the hull form.
So the crucial point is how all that incredibly prepped steel actually comes together. Look, in the old days, ships were painstakingly built piece by piece right on a slipway. You were exposed to the weather, with welders doing this awful, slow, awkward overhead welding. But prefabrication? It completely revolutionized the industry. By building the ship in subunits inside fully covered workshops, welders can do flat, downhand welding. This allows flat panels to grow into these incredibly robust egg box double bottom structures in highly controlled, industrial-scale conditions. And here's the best part. We don't just build the steel structure in those workshops, we outfit it there too. This is what we call the 3-level pyramid of outfitting. First up, unit outfitting, literally pre-building pipe spools and equipment skids. Second, block outfitting, dropping those pre-built units right into the open steel blocks before they are even joined together. And finally, on-board outfitting for the very final connections out on the berth. The golden rule here? Maximize your work at the lowest possible level of that pyramid. Why? Because dragging equipment and doing work out on the berth is infinitely more expensive and just way, way slower.
Now, what's really interesting here is the truly staggering scale of what we're talking about. 2,000. That is the 2,000-ton weight of a single megablock. By using absolute behemoth gantry cranes to lift these entirely pre-outfitted blocks, which often span the full width of the ship, by the way, shipyards drastically cut down on the number of crane lifts and those super complex berth welds. Honestly, it saves literally weeks of dock time.
Once those massive blocks finally reach the building dock, the erection sequence is planned out to the absolute letter. It pretty much always kicks off aft, in the heavy machinery space, and progresses forward and upward from there. And the physics at play here? Mind-boggling. They are aligning these massive floating steel blocks to structural tolerances of just 3 millimeters or less. Think about that. And hey, if a ship happens to be too long for the dock, no problem. They use split construction, building the ship in 2 separate halves, floating them out and joining them perfectly in the water using pump-dry, watertight cofferdams. It's like a giant puzzle. But hold on, before any ship can launch, it has to be rigorously tested. Just X-raying the welds isn't going to cut it. A shipboard tank must actually prove it is watertight as a complete unified structure. Every single weld, every penetration, every valve connection tested simultaneously. They do this through hydrostatic testing. Deep tanks are pressurized with a real waterhead, often standing 2.4 meters above the tank top. This intense, simultaneous pressure totally guarantees the absolute structural integrity of the ship before it ever meets the sea.
Section 4. The final step, entering the sea.
Which brings our entire narrative full circle to the final, most highly anticipated step of the whole process, actually entering the sea. We've seen how the shiplift handles this beautifully and statically, but contrast that for a second with the dynamic, heart-pounding drama of traditional launches. Traditional gravity launches are, well, they're basically controlled chaos. An end launch slides a huge ship backwards down lubricated ways, totally risking dangerous tipping moments and relying on massive chain drags to violently yank its momentum to a stop in the water. A side launch, used in narrow rivers, that intentionally induces a violent 30 to 40 degree roll as the ship just belly flops into the water broadside. Compare those massive, heavy dynamic loads with modern marvels like the dry dock float-off, where the water simply rises gently to the hull. Or, of course, the hydraulic shiplift we opened with. Zero sliding, zero rolling, just absolute, silent, perfect precision. From a completely blank screen to a majestic floating ship, you have now seen the incredible engineering, the relentless physics, and the masterful management behind modern shipbuilding. This is the foundation. If this explainer helped you put all the pieces together, please share it with a colleague who's just starting out in the industry. You now understand every major step in the construction of a modern ship. The only question left is, what will you build next? Subscribe for our next series on ship systems and machinery, and we will see you there.